You've seen it, right? That sad, familiar sight on the side of the road. But what if I told you that what we see is just the tiniest tip of a colossal, planet-wide iceberg? The real story of our roads and the wildlife we share them with is so much bigger and honestly so much more costly than we've ever really understood.
So that's the real question, isn't it? What is the true cost? We build these roads for progress, for convenience, to connect us all. But every single mile of pavement has a price. And it's a price paid not just by animals, but by us too.
Okay, let's start with a number that's, well, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around. In the United States alone, an estimated 340 million birds are killed on roads every single year. And remember, that's just birds in just one country. When you start to think about this on a global scale, the numbers become absolutely staggering.
And the cost isn't just ecological, not by a long shot. Again, just in the US, the annual price tag for all these collisions, we're talking everything from car damage to human injuries and sadly even deaths, can be as high as $12 billion. This is a huge public safety and economic issue, and it's been hiding in plain sight.
For decades, we've known this was a problem, but we just couldn't see the whole picture. The data was all over the place, incomplete. It was a global blind spot. But now, thanks to this massive scientific effort, that is finally changing. A brand new global data set is bringing this crisis into sharp focus for the very first time.
So let's dig into that. Let's unpack what this hidden toll really means. Because it's about so much more than the sad sight of one animal. It's about the invisible damage that just ripples through entire ecosystems.
And this is absolutely crucial. Roadkill isn't just about subtracting individual animals. It's a force that carves up habitats, isolating populations, shrinking their gene pool, and making them way more vulnerable. It actually blocks something scientists call genetic rescue, which is just that vital flow of new animals bringing fresh genes to keep a local group healthy.
This quote right here really nails the danger for the species we're most worried about. You know, for a common animal, maybe road losses are something they can bounce back from. But for a species that's already on the edge, even a few deaths can be the tipping point that pushes them towards disappearing from an area for good. Every single loss matters.
And we are not talking about some abstract threat here. We're talking about some of the world's most iconic and beloved animals. We now know that populations of maned wolves, tigers, leopards, and ground hyenas are all facing a much higher risk of extinction simply because of our ever-expanding road networks.
Okay, now let's flip this around and look at the human side of the coin, because this isn't just a wildlife issue, it's a serious public safety crisis. In both Europe and the US, we're seeing hundreds of human deaths and tens of thousands of injuries every year. And the economic damage? We're talking billions. This is a problem that affects all of us.
So if the problem is this huge, you have to ask, right? Why haven't we really gotten a handle on it sooner? Well, the simple answer is we couldn't see it clearly. We were basically working in the dark. Imagine trying to put together a giant global jigsaw puzzle where all the pieces are different shapes and sizes, and most of them are missing. That's pretty much what the state of roadkill data was. You'd have one study on frogs in Spain, another on deer in Ohio. The information was out there, but it was a total mess, making any kind of global picture impossible to see.
But that has all changed. Now we're going to look at the incredible scientific detective work that turned all of that chaos into clarity. This was no small feat. This wasn't the work of one lab or one university. This was a massive global team effort. Scientists reached out to hundreds of other researchers, asking them to share their raw data. In the end, hundreds of them did, pooling all of their local knowledge into one single powerful resource. And this slide shows you just how meticulous they had to be. It was this 5-step process. First, gather all that scattered information. Then, compile it all together. The third step, and this was the really hard part, was standardization. You know, cleaning up the data, fixing typos, and making sure everyone was speaking the same scientific language. After a final check, they had it. One clean, unified global dataset. And here it is, the result of all that work. For the first time ever, we can actually see the problem on a global scale. This map right here represents over 200,000 individual records from 54 different countries. Every single red dot is a data point, a story, and together they paint the first truly comprehensive picture of this worldwide crisis.
The time span here is just as impressive. I mean, it includes records going all the way back to 1971. But what's really striking is that almost 3/4 of all the data was collected just since 2013.
That shows this incredible acceleration in research, all leading up to this landmark publication.
So, we have the map, we've got the data. What is it actually telling us? What new secrets can we pull from this amazing resource?
Well, at a high level, it's no surprise that mammals make up the biggest chunk of the records, at 61%. But look at this, amphibians make up a full 21%. These are the smaller, quieter, often overlooked victims. This new data finally gives them a voice.
When you get into the specifics, it's fascinating. The most recorded animal is the roe deer, which thankfully is a species of least concern. But the most recorded threatened species? That's the giant anteater, which is classified as vulnerable. This is so powerful because it helps us pinpoint exactly which at-risk animals are getting hit the hardest.
But, being honest with the data also means seeing what we still don't know. There's a clear bias here. 60% of the records are from Europe. Meanwhile, Asia, Africa, and Oceania combined, they make up less than 6%. So this map isn't just a map of roadkill. It's also a map of data deserts, places where we desperately need to focus our research next.
Which brings us to the future. Now that we know all this, where do we go from here? What are the big challenges and opportunities waiting for us just down the road?
And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high. Right now, global projects are planning to build millions of kilometers of new roads, many of which will cut right through fragile ecosystems in developing countries. So this threat to wildlife, it's about to get much, much bigger.
But now, for the first time, we have an incredibly powerful tool to face that challenge. This data is open for anyone to use, road planners, conservation groups, you name it. They can now find deadly hotspots with precision, predict which species are most at risk, and put solutions like wildlife crossings exactly where they'll do the most good. This is how you turn data into real-world action.
Look, we've spent more than a century building roads that slice up landscapes and put both animals and people in danger. The question is no longer what's happening. We know that now. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Can we take this incredible new knowledge and finally start designing a safer road ahead for all of us?